Cool. We are live again. Second Monday that I'm doing a Q&A live. Last time was quite nice to do. There were just a few people, but I think at least a few people left with some answers. So yeah, I'm really glad to be here again. Today, I'm gonna be answering questions. That's my main goal. I would be super keen to read as many questions as possible and be able to answer all those questions. In the meantime, I might give some tips that I think are very useful. I was talking earlier today with this candidate who is looking for work remotely, and English is not his first language. And I give him some tips to prepare himself for interviews. And one of the tips was to download the application called Grammarly. Grammarly.com. I highly recommend this application for anyone who is working in English and English is not their first language. Said that, I work at different places in New Zealand, and even English native speakers were using Grammarly to have a better grammar in their emails and in their whatever it is that they were writing. So definitely use Grammarly, even if it's your first language or not. Why I think Grammarly could be a good application, a good tool to use, is because it will help you to, again, write things that make sense. It's gonna also help you to avoid misspelling mistakes. It's very easy to help you with that as well. And the good thing is that you can you can use it with your Gmail, with Google Docs, and other things. So definitely it's going to help you. So that's tip number one. But what you're going to be writing in this application called Grammarly, I highly recommend you to prepare your interviews in order to understand how you're going to share the information. Again, even if you're an English native speaker or not, it's very important that you articulate the information you will want to share. And something that you can do to practice this is to write every day what it is that you are doing in your job. Make sure that you can write what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. That's what I usually say. But for example, today I was talking to this candidate who is an Android developer, and this Android developer was telling me that they're looking forward to change the architecture that they are using and implement a new architecture that Google is suggesting for everything with Android. So what I was telling him is use Grammarly to write, first of all, what it is that you're doing currently today, how it is that you're doing it, then tell what it is that you're going to be doing next, what's going to be the new way of doing things, and in the middle, explain and write how you're going to be doing this, how it's going to be the approach from going to A to B. And if you write that, and then you write whatever it is that you are doing every day, you're going to be able to explain when you go to interviews what it is that you are doing and how you are doing it. And when you're in the interview, you won't have to think of examples of things that you're currently doing. You won't have to, again, if English is your second language, you won't have to be thinking of what's the right word for this in English, or how should I express this or that. It's very important that you can understand what kind of information you will be sharing with the interviewer. And if you have done that previously, it's going to make your life easier. You're going to make a better interview. Again, I have been talking to a lot of people that are UX designers, software developers, testers, DevOps, everyone working in IT, that there are some roles, and most of these roles could be done remotely. So if you're living, let's say, in Latin America, and I'm just giving this as an example because I'm from Latin America, if you're working for a Latin American company and you're enjoying it, that's amazing. But if you want to work for international companies and be able to work with people all around the world, you will probably be working in English. And if you don't know how to communicate well in English, then probably you are not going to be able to get this job. And by not getting this job means that you are not earning as much as money as possible, because you are not working in these kind of projects. So if you're a software developer, tester, DevOps, UX designer, UI designer, and something that it's important for you, it's earning more money, I believe that you should be considering remote work, because you're going to be able to get better income. Again, for this, you will have to be very well prepared to do good interviews in English, probably. So make sure that you can practice how to share your knowledge in this language. Again, you can use Grammarly to make sure that you are writing everything with the right grammar, that you are not having spelling mistakes, and this is a way for you to write all the information, structure all that information in a way that you're going to be able to share it with your audience, in this case probably a couple of interviewers, in order to get those jobs remotely and get better income. So this was my tip for the day. In the meantime, that I get some questions, I'm super keen to start reading some questions, guys. So don't be shy. Send me those questions. In the meantime, I'm gonna be talking about your resume or your CV. Last week I was talking to this person, and this person was asking my advice and help to write his resume or CV, and we were talking about telling a story. It's very important. Hi Alex, nice to see your hello. Hope everything is all good in Chile. And what I was telling to this person is that you should tell the story, but it's all the other way around how it happens in the movies. You know, when you're watching a movie, you don't know what's going to happen, and if the movie is good, you're going to be there till the end to see what was the ending of the movie and what happened with the different characters. And it happened to you probably that many times you started watching a movie, and at the end of and during the movie you just went to do something else, or you changed the movie to something else because it was not interesting. When you're doing interviews, it's completely the same thing. You have to keep the other person interested in wanting to listen to your story. So one tip I usually give to people, and this is the same when you're writing your CV or when you are doing the interview, you first want to tell the end of the story first. So if let's think about Titanic as a movie. If you didn't watch the movie, probably you already know the end of the movie because it's a very popular story. But the first thing you want to say is like the boat went down and many people died. And then you will go back to tell the story on what happened. It's like there was this boat in Europe traveling to the United States, to New York, and hit to an iceberg and went down. So in this case, if you're telling your story about a project, you first want to tell the end of the project. I built this amazing mobile application that is up on Google Play and iOS store. Cool, that's the end of the movie. That's a great achievement. Cool. And the way I did that was by being an Android developer, being responsible for doing the whole architecture and being able to write the whole code, or whatever the project it is, and telling the details of the story. But first, you want to tell the end of the story first. If you see that the interviewer or the other person that is you are talking to is interested, you start sharing a little bit more of details. And you share, first of all, very high-level details. And then you go and tell a little bit more of information and a little bit more of information. And you will be telling all this information if the other person is engaged, if they are not engaged, probably they will ask you another question to tell them something different. Usually, many people start the other way around. They start with the beginning of the story, and they start giving details and details and details in order to get to the end of the story. But many times, if you are not very good at telling a story, or your story is not aligned with what they want to hear, then probably they will get bored and they will ask you another question, and they are going to be disengaged, and they will probably think that you are not the right person for the role that they are hiring. And this is exactly the same that happens when you're watching Netflix. You start watching a series or you start watching a movie. If you don't enjoy it, you go out and you look for something else. And that's why it's very important how you structure the information that you will want to share with your interviewer, with your audience, in order to make it compelling. So that's something I was sharing on regards to the CV and the resume. So if you're going to be writing your CV and your resume, you have to know that the first page of your CV is the most important page of all the different pages that your CV has. Why? Because you get their full attention first, and as the movie, if they are not interested, they won't keep going down. So in the first half of the CV, you have to make sure that you are sharing with them your value proposition, how you're going to be able to add value to their team, to their organization. It needs to go from left to right and down. There are some people that they put some information going down, and to the right they have some information going to the right. It has to be easy for someone to read it. Like, I'm not a designer, I'm far from being a designer, but the information needs to be able to read easily. You won't probably want some white space, so you're able to read easily. I will keep going with the CV. In the meantime, I'm gonna answer the question to Alex. On LinkedIn, there are many courses that help to have a broader knowledge in various subjects, for example, .NET. These are valid to complement knowledge, such as courses made in learning platforms like Udemy or Platzi. Cool. I understand what you are trying to ask me is that if by adding all these endorsements to LinkedIn, by telling them, your audience, the people that you have all these skills, if they add value, I would say yes. And I would say that the value that adds is for people like me, recruiters or hiring managers, to find you on LinkedIn. So let's say that you name that you have a skill or knowledge in .NET framework, or that you have done a course in Udemy to learn, I don't know, human-centered design or Selenium or whatever the skill that you have learned. From my point of view, it's important to show those skills so people like me can find you. So I can find you in the world of LinkedIn, that there are millions of different profiles. Said that, once I find you, by you just naming that you have those skills or experience with those tools, doesn't mean that I believe that you're good with those tools. So again, it's good for people to find you. Then probably you will have to give a little bit more of information to prove that you do have those skills, that you do know how to use those tools. And usually the best thing you can do is to share a little bit of what it is that you have done with those tools and what was the end result. Again, end of the story first, and then you give details. But to answer your question, Alex, yes, I believe that adding those things to your LinkedIn profile brings a lot of value, and the main reason is for people to be able to find you. Hi, Julian. Thanks for being here with us again. I'll read your question or your comment. Hey, Santi, Julian here again. Just as I told you last week, this is my process on LinkedIn so far. Plus 30 connections, 500% profile views, and 2 interviews with analysts in Rappi and in Deck. Thanks a lot. So basically, Julian is saying that he followed some of the tips I gave last week, and the outcome was that he got 30 new connections, He increased his profile views in 500%, and he got 2 interviews for the roles that he was after. I'm super happy that you got those outcomes in just 1 week. That's amazing work. And basically, the tips and suggestions I gave to Julian was to grow your network, to connect with other people that are colleagues of yours, that are doing the jobs that you would want to do, and start engaging with them. One of the things that I believe that it's very important to do is to find those people and ask them to be your mentors in a very specific way and in a very easy way for them to get back to you. And in that way, you're going to be able to grow your network, and the end result, it's going to be able to have interviews. That's the end result, but it's not the main reason why you do it. The main reason why you do it is to grow your network, to get to learn about other people, to get to understand what those people in those companies are doing, in order to be able for you to understand how you're going to be able to add value to those companies and to those teams. And the end result, of course, sorry for this, the outcome you want is that someone it's calling you for an interview, but the relationship you are building with those people needs to be genuine. So you really need to want to talk to them, to learn about them, and not just to try to get an interview from them. If not, it won't work out. So if I keep talking about the CV and the resume, again, first half of the first page is very important. Many people ask me how many pages my CV or my resume needs to have. Should be 1. I know that in the United States it's very common that everyone wants a 1-page CV or resume, or maybe in Latin America it's a little bit similar. It might be different in different parts of the world. My point of view is that doesn't matter how many pages your CV or resume has. The most important thing is that people want to read it. And that's why the first CV, the first page of your CV or your resume, it's so important, because in the first half of it, you have to give so much information in a very easy way to read for them to want to keep reading. So let's say that I'm applying for jobs as a recruiter, and I'm sharing my CV to someone, my resume. In the first half part of the resume or the CV, I would want to tell the person that I'm able to do IT recruitment, from engaging with candidates to engaging with potential new clients, to be able to handle the account management of the different clients that the organization already has, in order to be able to find the best people for those companies. At the same time, I find the best jobs for those candidates. And I'm able to do it specifically for IT roles. So in that few lines, I'm already telling the company that I'm applying to what I'm able to do and what I'm capable of doing and what I want to do. In this case, I just gave a very short example, but my point is, in those first few lines, you want to tell them what it is that you can do, how you can do it, and why you want to do it. Many people in the first half of their CV, they tell their objective, what's their objective, and it's very important, of course, but the company doesn't want to read on necessarily what it is that you want to do. It's more about them. It's how you can help them. If in that first part of the CV you can tell them how your personal goals and your goals and achievements that you want to do are aligned with the company and the team, that's amazing. That's a very good thing to do. But first, you need to know what it is that they want to achieve in order to be able to share this. And that's why I recommend people to grow their network. But my point is, it's not about you. It's about them and how you are going to be able to help them. Once you are in the meeting, there you can ask all the different questions you want to know about the team, the organization, how you're going to be able to grow with them, what's going to be the salary that they're going to pay you. Of course, it's important to get all the answers on what you want for yourself, but the CV is not the place to show this. Your CV, your resume is the document that you are going to use to be able to share your value proposition with that company for that role. First half of the CV, you have to indicate that. If you see in the job advertisement that they're mentioning what technologies they're using, what methodologies they're using, and in what industry, then you have to make sure that in that first half of the page, of the first page, you are telling that you have knowledge with all those things. And then you move to the second part of the first page of your CV, where you are gonna share what it is that you're currently working on today. Don't start from your first job, start from your last job, and share the experience you have that is aligned with what they're looking for. Don't just tell them all the different things you do. Focus mainly on the things that they are after. Cool. Another question from Julian. Does the CV need to have a specific design so the recruitment software can scan, read it correctly, and have more chances to land an interview? So there's a lot of things, a lot of information around this. Usually companies, big companies, they use a software that it's called an applicant tracking system. So every time that you are applying to a job online, that CV goes to the applicant tracking system software that the company use in order to start filtering which CVs and start screening which CVs they're gonna read. So there they use some tools to find the CVs that are more accurate, and one of the things they do is to put keywords. So if your CV doesn't have the keywords for what they're after, then your CV won't show up in their filter and their search. So it's not too much about the design, but yes, I highly recommend to have a very basic design. Don't want to do something that it's super fancy, like a Google Docs document, sharing like very basic information. It's what you want. You don't want something super fancy. Just white and letters. Of course, make sure that it looks nice and tidy, but you don't have to have something very fancy. The important thing about the applicant tracking system for people to find your CV attractive is the words, the information that goes inside the CV. So that's why it's very important that if you are applying for a job online and in the job advertisement they're saying that they want someone with experience in software development using technology A and tools B and methodology C, then in your CV and your resume you have to put the name of the technologies that they're using, the name of the frameworks that they're using, the name of the tools that they're using, and the name of the methodologies they're using. In that way, as like Alex was asking me for the LinkedIn, the applicant tracking system will bring up your CV. Once they are reading your CV, then they're gonna not just only look for the keywords, but what's the explanation that you have shared in order to show them that you have experience with those software or with those programming languages or with those tools. If it's for the marketing area, and how you can use those tools, and what were the achievements you got from using those tools. When it comes to design, again, a lot of people use like different tables, and they use a vertical table, and then they use a horizontal table, and then they put the name and the link here and the picture there. It's too much information. To my eyes, it's going to be too much information. So if only you're going to be including words and lines, then make sure that there's some space. Again, you want a little bit of, in the first half of the page, you want a little bit of white space, so it's easy for me to find those information. Probably you want to use bold when you want to highlight that you have experience with that software. Let's say that a company is looking for a full stack developer using Java, Amazon Web Services, and React, let's say. well, then use Java in bold, then use Amazon Web Services in bold, and then use React in bold. At the same time that you are telling the story on how you are using those technologies and tools to achieve the goals of your team and your organization. So that's how I would say that you have to design your CV. First half of the page, easy, just from left to right, using bold to highlight the words that the company is using in their job advertisement, and sharing how you're going to be able to help them. What's your value proposition? There are a lot of CVs and resumes that I read that they have lot of information, one above the other, and a lot of words, and a list that all the different tools that they use, and I don't care if you use all these different technologies or all these different tools. I only care if you use the ones I want you to use. Of course, then if you go to the interview, you can tell them that you have experience with other tools and that you know how to do different things and that you have learned challenges from other industries or domains, and in that way you're going to be able to bring a different perspective, a different point of view. That's important, but again, that might not be sorry for that, something that you want to share in your CV. The only one goal of your CV is for people to call you for an interview. If your CV is giving you all the different, if the CV is giving you a lot of phone calls of companies inviting you to interviews, then your CV is fine. You don't have to change it. If your CV it's giving you a lot of calls for a screening call and then they are not inviting you to an interview, then the CV might be just okay, and that's why they are calling you. But maybe then in that in that screening phone call, you're not being able to show them that you really have knowledge on what they want you to have knowledge. So again, I believe that the CV and the resume can help you to position yourself in a better way. So what I'm trying to say with this, if you have a CV or a resume that lists all the keywords that the company is after, but you necessarily explain how you're using those technologies or tools in order to achieve the goals, they might call you because you have the words in your CV, you have the keywords, you have the buzzwords, so they call you. But that call, it's gonna be a call where they will want to know if you really have the knowledge and if you really have the experience that they're after. So even though they call you, still you're half chances that they will invite you to an interview, or even maybe less, because they're just calling you because they can't find anyone, and they'll say, okay, I'll just give it a go and see if this person might be a good person for our role. So you're not positioning yourself very well. But if in your CV or your resume, you are not only listing all the relevant words, all the relevant keywords and buzzwords in the technologies that are relevant to that company and for that role, but you're also explaining how you use them, for what was the achievement out of using those frameworks, technologies, and tools or methodologies, and how that complemented to your career to grow, and then why all these things that you have done you think are going to be able to add value to this new team in this company, and why you're super interested and passionate about that. Then when they call you, your positioning is way better because they already know that you have the skills. You already show them that in your resume and your CV. They already know that you are the person that has the skill. And then probably what they would want is to call you to arrange a meeting. And then when you go to the meeting, you will have 1 hour or 45 minutes to talk about all these different things. But if they call you and they are not sure, and they are only wanting to do a 10 minutes or 5 minutes phone screen, then you have 5 or 10 minutes to explain all your knowledge. And it's way harder to explain everything in 5 to 10 minutes than if you have 1 hour. So that's why the CV and the resume, it's very important, and it's very important to get that phone call or that email. Again, if your CV or your resume is not compelling enough, probably you will have 5 to 10 minutes to prove them that you are the right person for the role. If your CV is super compelling, probably that phone call, it's going to be just to arrange a meeting for you to go and visit them. If you go and visit them, you're going to be able to, hopefully, depending on the situation where you are, they might invite you to their offices, and you're going to be able to see what's the vibe, see who works there, how the people are engaging, if they are quiet, if they are having a good time. Then you will have 1 hour time to meet face-to-face with the person that you're going to be working with. It's going to be way better experience, and it's going to be way better for you to assess if that company and that role, it's going to be a good fit for your career. But if you only have 5 to 10 minutes, then you don't have all that, and you might miss on the opportunity. Cool. Another question from Alex. The CV, how many years of experience should you have? If one has many years, it would be more than 2 pages to write, and I think more than 2 pages is a lot for a claim. Cool. So basically, you are telling me that if you have many years of experience, it might take you more than 2 pages to write your CV, and then you don't think that that's good. So basically, well, my answer is going to be, again, doesn't matter how many pages you are using. Your CV might have 4 pages, and it's all good if the first page is good enough in order for me to want to go to the second page. And the second page needs to be good enough in order for me to want to go to the third and then the fourth. Again, you have, let's say that you have 10 years experience. You don't need to explain all the different things that you have been doing in the last 10 years. You only have to explain the things that you have been doing in the last 10 years that are going to add value to that specific role and to that specific company. So let's say that you're looking for work as a .NET developer, and you have 2 years experience as a .NET developer, and you have 8-year experience as a Java developer. So in those 2 years, you want to give a lot of information because you have 2 years of working with .NET framework, and you want to share everything. But from your previous 8 years experience, and you have a lot of experience with Java, there you might not want to talk too much about the frameworks, and you don't want to talk too much about the databases that might not be the ones that you were using with .NET, and you might not want to share the libraries or the servers that you are using. But yes, you probably want to share all the things that were the same with .NET, because both programming languages are object-oriented programming languages. So you want to share how you are using same good practices for object-oriented programming that are related to .NET. So even though you have 8 years experience with Java, there's a lot of things that you can take from there that are relevant to a .NET role. But again, probably you don't have to write a lot of things. You can just highlight the things that are relevant to .NET. Cool. Glad to see that that was helpful. So yeah, I think that, again, the CV, the resume, it's all about the job application that you are doing. And I know that that this takes a lot of work, but each time that you are applying for a role, you need to make sure that your CV or your resume is talking to that specific job application. And I'm going to give an example on how a minimum tweak in your resume or CV can make the difference. If the job advert says that they're looking for a full stack developer, that it's going to be mainly working in the front end using React, and they're going to be spending, let's say, 70 or 60% of the time using React, and the remaining using, let's say, I don't know, Java for the backend, React for the front end, and the job ad says that 70% of the job is to work in the front end and 30% to work in the backend. In your CV, you want to highlight all the relevant experience more for the front end and not the back end. And even in your current job, if you have more experience as a back end developer and not too much as a front end developer, still you want to highlight all the experience that you had as a front end developer. And let's say that in your previous job to the one you have won, you had more experience as a front end developer than as a back end developer. There again, you will highlight all the experience that you have as a front end developer. And here in the first half of your CV, you're going to share all the experience you have as a front-end developer mainly, and you will probably name the things that you have done in the back end. But because you know that the most important thing is the front end, you will talk mainly about the front end. So the CV is going to change. If then you're applying to another role that is the other way around, that they want someone more experienced with the back end than the front end, if you're a full stack developer, then you should do it the other way around. Talk more about your experience as a back-end developer than a front-end developer. Or the same if it's going to be to work with databases. It's always important to highlight what it is that they are after. Cool. I have another question. Which websites you recommend to search for internships or jobs in New Zealand? I only know Seek and LinkedIn. So the most popular websites to look for jobs in New Zealand is Seek, as you said, LinkedIn, as you said, and there's another one that it's called Trade Me Jobs. Trade Me, it's the most popular e-commerce and marketplace in New Zealand, and they have one part of their marketplace that it's 100% focused in jobs. Again, as a junior or as a graduate in looking for a new job, I wouldn't rely only in websites that they post job ads because you will have a lot of competition. I guess that what I would highly recommend to do is to do what you are doing last week, Julian, that is engaging with a lot of new people, telling them your story, sharing them how you can add value to their teams and companies, and creating a lot of content. So when you engage with people, they can see what are you posting, and they can see also the progress of your learning curve. If you apply to a job online from overseas for a junior role through a web portal, the chances for people to talk to you are very low. I'm not saying that that won't happen, but reality is that chances are very low. But if you start engaging with people on LinkedIn, some of them, they will reply to you, some of them they won't, but if they accept your invitation to connect and they start seeing all your posts of things that you're sharing on how you're learning different stuff, over time they will see how you have improved on the different things that you have done. And I think that that's the best way to get a job as a graduate or on a new area or on a new area of things that you're working on that you don't have experience. Even if you have 10 years experience working with something and you decide to change, let's say that you are a back-end developer and then you decide to become a mobile developer, you still have not too much experience, and the best thing to do is to showcase how you can learn, and creating content, it's a very way to show that, or showing your GitHub account or showing a portfolio if you're a designer, and constantly keep posting things on how you're learning new things. So yeah. And the best thing to do this as well is if you're going to be applying online to jobs of companies that they are doing job advertisements, I highly recommend to do a lot of research about those companies. Because if you know a lot about the company, and let's say that on LinkedIn you follow the company page and then you follow people that are working on those companies, eventually you will get to learn a lot about them through the content that they post. So when you see that they have an opening for a job, you're going to be able to share a lot of things that you know that are relevant to the job and the company, because you have been learning about them over time, because you're following and you're doing research about them. Even if it's a company that, I don't know, let's say that you're a mobile developer and you want to work for TradeMe. It's going to be very easy to find customers of TradeMe, because most people in New Zealand are using TradeMe. So if you're a mobile developer and you want to get a job at TradeMe, you can do a research and try to find, 10 customers of TradeMe. It's going to be very easy, because I'm pretty sure that almost everyone has used TradeMe for something in New Zealand. And try to get feedback. What's the user experience of using TradeMe? And what do you like, what you don't like, when are you struggling when you're looking for a house? For example, now I'm currently in the search for a new house, because where I'm living, the house it's gonna be sold, so I need to find a new house to live in Auckland, and I'm using TradeMe property a lot. So if I'm looking for a job as a mobile developer for TradeMe, I will probably have a lot of insights as a customer, or I can talk to a lot of other people and tell TradeMe in the interview all the different things that I have been thinking that I could do for them to improve their application. And also, it's not about telling them all the different things that they need to change, but it's to understand why they have done all the different things in the way they have done it, and what are the challenges in order for them to be able to change those things, because probably they are aware of a lot of things that they need to change, but maybe it's not that easy, because they will have to change a lot of other things, and that might bring a cost, or that might mean that they need to hire a whole new team to do all those changes. So it's not only about telling them what they need to change, but it's about learning why they're not being able to do some changes. And if you come with this approach to an interview, or in your CV, or in your cover letter, this could be a very good topic to write in your cover letter. Hey, TradeMe, I am a user, I'm a customer of you guys, I'm using the application all the time, I'm struggling with this and that, I have talked to a lot of people that they are struggling with the same. I'm an Android developer or mobile developer. I would be more than keen to help you with this. My assumption is that we could do this, this, and this. Said that, you probably are aware of these things, and probably there are different things that are not allowing you to make these changes. These are my assumptions on why you're not being able to make those changes. I would be more than happy to have an interview with you guys to understand and learn more about you and share my ideas. Even if I'm not the right person for the job, I would be more than happy to contribute to try to solve these problems for you. And if there's a job that would be a good fit for me, and I'm going to be a good fit for you guys, that would be amazing. If not, all good. I would be more than happy to help during a recruitment process. That's a cover letter that probably nobody writes, because they're not taking the time to, or they don't know that they could be talking to people that are customers of the company that you want to apply to, and you are not finding the problems they are having and there are the solutions that you could bring. But if you write this kind of thing in a cover letter, I 100% guarantee that at least they're going to call you for an interview, because what you have done, it's amazing. And again, here with the question Julian was asking me, how I make sure that they're going to read my CV, the keywords in your CV, it's going to be very important. So yeah, that's something I wanted to share. Cool, great. Well, guys, I think that this is more than enough for today's Q&A. Unless someone else has another question, I will finish this Q&A here. I'm gonna do a new one next Monday. Next Monday in New Zealand is a holiday. Still, I'm gonna do the Q&A anyway, because many people might take the opportunity, because they are not working, to be part of this Q&A that I do every Monday, that I'm starting to do every Monday. So thank you very much for all the people that have been here with me today. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully the information I'm sharing is valuable. If there's any topic that you would like me to bring up in the next Q&A, send me a LinkedIn message, leave a comment in the YouTube video, and I'm more than happy to share information that you guys want to hear about. And if I don't have that information, I'm gonna be going out and looking for that information for you. So thank you very much, and see you next Monday.